In my last video, I will discuss deployment, additional features, demonstrate my application, and reflect on the development process. My application is hosted on Heroku. I chose Heroku because I had used it before in past assignments, and our learning facilitator had demonstrated it on one of his projects. I deployed my application using the Heroku command line interface. I did not use Docker with my project. Found the Heroku command line interface very easy to use in conjunction with the Heroku Getting Started guide. It was so easy that I had only one issue. I forgot to change my port variable to process.env.port or 3000. It just so happened that my one-on-one meeting with my learning facilitator was at the same time that I was researching the problem, and he was able to help me solve it. There was a login page with the starter files, but all it did was verify the user existed. I added the logged in variable to my context to keep track if the user was logged in. This eliminated the need to supply an email when making a deposit, withdrawal, or checking the balance. I also added a log out link to the nav bar that had a ternary operator that would either display login or log out, depending on the user's logged in state. I had a lot of issues while developing this. I was originally using context to trigger the ternary operator, but I found out that the state was not updating properly. I ended up having to add the state in my index file and pass that through my context. I added an account role to each user so you could designate whether the user was an admin or a regular account. Then I added logic that would only display the normal user information on the all data page. If the user was designated as an admin, then it would show all user data. I added a past transaction button to the balance page so the user could see the past transactions that they had made. This ended up being pretty easy in the end. At first, I was having trouble figuring out how to make the update function in the DAL increment the balance and then also add the transaction to the array at the same time. During testing, I found if you use certain special characters in your password that it wouldn't create the user. I found out that the reason was that some characters are used in a URL string to designate different things. For example, the question mark designates the beginning of the query string. To solve this problem, I used encode_URI component to encode the parameter while being passed in the URL. I really didn't like storing the password in plain text, so I used bcrypt to hash the password before storing it in the database. I was surprised at how easy it was to implement. The only problem I had was figuring out if it should be in the API endpoint or the DAL. Because the DAL doesn't have a specific function for login, I decided to add it to the login and create user endpoints. Now I'll demonstrate the application. First, we'll create a user. And we'll select the role as admin. Now we'll log in. That takes you straight to the balance page. You can see there's no transactions. Deposit. Show success. And the balance updates. Draw. Success. And the new balance shows. In the balance, you can see our past transactions. And on the all data page, since we're an admin user, you can see all the users. And when you log out, it no longer shows you the data. And if we log back in, I guess we should actually refresh the page. And it shows our balances still from before. If I started this project again today, I would use context less. As I got further into the project, I got a lot better at using data from the database, and I can definitely see the benefits in limiting how much you store in context. There are three things that I wish I could have added to my project. First is the ability to update user information, such as changing the user email or user password. Second would be the ability to have multiple accounts for each user, such as a savings or checking account. The last thing I would have liked to add is a way to log in with a Google account.